Hey everyone, and welcome to the next video in this series. On this one, we're going to talk about conscience and myths reconciliation, especially when it comes to our decisions. One thing I'm noticing is sometimes we make very poor decisions based on our conscience, and in even some cases, possibly some misindoctrination, if you will. Now, this could be related to where we grew up and the examples of how problems and other discrepancies were actually handled. So this is a means to try to provide some perspective in that regard. So let's begin. First and foremost, vigilance cannot contain bias nor favoritism and or prejudice. Because if it does, there are going to be some decisions made that actually negatively impacts the overall scenario. One of the main things is we have to be personally responsible with our actions. Personal circumstances are not excusable to act in any form of misconduct. This includes personal views or beliefs. This includes mental conditions. This includes adult level desires. We do not have any right to disrespect anyone, nor engage in any form of misconduct based on these factors. We still have a responsibility. And what I'm really referring to, especially those of us who are really in a right mind and still have enough cognition to know when we're acting up. And when we are made aware that we are acting up, we need to actively do something about it to try to fix it. So moving on, proper conscience and wise thinking are 24-hour necessities. We always need to think carefully about our actions and the possible consequences. We always need to weigh carefully the benefits against the liabilities. And for those of us out there, and we know who we are, who we have egos to say, oh, I can get by, I can slip by that. There's always an angle we don't know about. So let's just not go there. If we have to look over our shoulder all the time when we are doing something that is most likely we know is either immoral or even unlawful, chances are we should not be doing it. Maybe we should probably stop. And I don't mean to sound sarcastic, but at the same time, I'm also a bit annoyed even at myself at times with this. We need to stop. If we know we are doing something that's either immoral or unlawful, we simply just need to stop. There is no excuse. We just need to stop. Moving forward, we need to treat no as no and stop as stop. So when a person tells us they are not interested, stop. If we're doing and saying something that we know for a fact is disruptive and is counterproductive, we need to stop. Like the famous comedian said with that skit, stop it. This is not the time for ego. Moving on. Enticement still involves a conscious decision from ourselves. Because when it comes down to it, there are times where some things are just too good to be true. Some invitations are just too good to be true. So you really need to go back and weigh carefully the benefits against the liabilities. Moving on. Loved ones of the perpetrator. Now, this is one that really may hit home for a lot of people, especially when we have our loyalties for each other. But this is the honest truth. Misconduct must be treated for what it is, regardless who does it or why. Understand that. Always investigate inquiries of misconduct objectively. We are all susceptible to bad decisions, and our loved ones are no exception. We have a responsibility to ourselves and our loved ones to address any misconduct for what it is. If we are sheltering a known perpetrator from consequence, know that that is an act of enabling, which in some cases could be a criminal offense of being an accessory to their misconduct. Misconduct must be stopped by the necessary means, which may include setting boundaries from that individual engaging in the misconduct, and possibly up to legal action if it is necessary. Now, some may argue, well, that's my loved one. I don't want to cross that line. That line has already been crossed. You didn't cross that line as the bystander. They crossed that line. And you have every right to engage in corrective measures to maintain peace and safety in the environment. If that perpetrator tries to challenge your loyalty to them because you are opposing their willfulness to engage in misconduct, that's a red flag. And if they don't want to correct the misconduct, cut them loose. Set boundaries. You let them know they cannot be around you until they correct that misconduct. And if they get mad and walk away, or they want to challenge anything else or just say it's over, that's on them. But you do what you need to do to remain in what's right. Moving on. In regards to victims, never blame the victim when they are disrespected. Okay? No one of proper conscience wants to be disrespected. Never try to convince a victim to refrain from reporting a misconduct. That could classify as enabling the perpetrator, and therefore you're acting as an accessory. Under criminal justice, accessories can be prosecuted as well. Moving on. In this case, the myths. One of the common myths that I hear is, it's okay as long as your intentions are good. Engaging in a misconduct, but the intentions were good, so it's fine. That's an uphill battle. Another one, he or she was asking for it. Based on what? And even if that was the case, you never know if that could actually be a trap of some kind. So, especially if you don't really know each other, you might want to keep that interaction on a very professional, friendly level. Now, I'm pretty sure some people have different levels of what they classify as friendly and what actions of friendliness in that regard. So be wise. That's all I'm going to say on that is be wise. Another common one, look what they were wearing. That has no validity whatsoever, because ultimately that is a personal perception. That is a personal opinion, because what they were wearing is what you like. So because they were wearing something that you like, you decided to fabricate in your own head that they're trying to entice you. And therefore you made a move. So let's not go there. Even if the clothing is skimpy, even if the clothing is enticing, you still have a personal responsibility to maintain a proper demeanor. That does not give you the go-ahead to act like a buffoon. I may have sounded very excited, which doesn't happen too often, but I'm sure I may be speaking for a lot of people in the community. They're tired of it, and I am too. But one way for us to get this right is we got to commit to personal development. We got to be honest with ourselves. We got to stop making excuses for ourselves and deal with our demeanor for what it is and correct it. So let's start being more vigilant with our actions and in our communities, because it's long overdue.